speaking part that he's going to present to us, and then we're going to have some question and answer. To get into the part that is the presentation by the CEOs, I just want to emphasize that as you saw in the Innovation Hub chat over the past few days, the great news is we have got a confirmation from the X Prize for Elon Musk Prize on carbon removal that they're going to allow to have the participants for the student prize to be also not only from the universities but also from K-12. That's an amazing news. And we had a confirmation that Anusha Ansari, the CEO of X Prize, will join us on June 12th. And as you remember, what we're going to do is the companies are going to focus over the next 3 weeks to have their own innovative solutions about the carbon removal, such that when she comes, you can all present your solutions as a preliminary solution, and then assuming that all goes well and we get the agreement with the X Prize, we're going to have you working on this over the rest of the spring challenge and in the summer challenge. The submission is on October 1st. The submission would be a collective submission from the startups in the hub. We don't know the detail. It might be, for example, the top 10 machines. And to do that submission, we want to make sure you have the most impactful solutions. So it's very important to have, for example, if library elements is needed, some of the companies make those libraries, new libraries, and all companies can use all libraries to come up with the newer machines. So this collaboration of having better library parts to come with a better solution would be critical. There is one document, so I'm sharing my screen right now to show you that document that I want to make sure that you all get a chance to actually go. This is the PolyUp Innovation Hub. Right now is the 3-week project, and over the next 3 weeks for the Elon Musk X Prize submissions. And if you go there, there are some guidance, there is some understanding of how the overall X Prize works. There is a $5 million for students. It's coming two bunch. There is a $3 million and a $2 million for many prizes. It can be up to $250,000 or up to $100,000. And we want to have all the companies in Hub to collectively submit to win one of these two prizes. And then when they do that, that is going to come and get helping the companies which had the best solution to actually implement their ideas. And that would be based on Polycoin. There is going to be discussion on coin. We have a amazing speaker that's going to talk to us about how these coins work in a later bit in this session. And finally, I want to finish by saying the most important thing in this document is read these two sections. This is copy and paste from the prize guideline. There are two pieces. One is a student carbon removal demonstration, and the other one is on measurement, reporting, and verification technologies. These are the two areas which is about carbon production and carbon removal that we can have innovative solutions of the startup hub companies to be about. So you, of course, need to do research on this and come up with ideas. And again, to build a portfolio among the companies to send out. And by end of the summer, we'll know each of your companies, what has been the revenue that you make in Polycoin. And that would be the ratio that we consider assuming a winning of a prize. So this should be enough. Let's now move to the CEOs. And Stephanie will call your name. Please be ready to share your screen and share your camera, and right away go ahead. We got very good at this. We want to be more efficient in this. It's going to be alphabetical based on the CEO names, but please make sure to be ready to share as soon as possible. Thank you. Let's go ahead. Stephanie, please go ahead.
First, we have the super capable team CEO. Please go ahead.
So the first thing we've been working on is basically some ideas for the Elon Musk competition. We don't have that many so far, but we do have 2 ideas. One of them has been performed before, but we could somehow improve that idea and make it better. And then the other one also has been researched, but hasn't been used on a large scale before. So we've also done some stuff about our library. We are designing it in Blender. If you can see this. And after that, we've also created a logo, and then here's the machine for it. And last but not least, we've created a color picker. This one's actually ready to be either designed in maybe like Blender 2D animation, or maybe even implemented into PolyUp, because the concept itself is pretty much done. Here's an explanation of how it works. And the basic pre-made colors are definitely going to be changed. We've changed them over here. Here's the new colors. And last but not least, we also have a simulation or blueprint of how it would work. And what happens is when you click on this custom color button right here, you go to this little pop-up and you can drag the RGB sliders. You can drag the RGB sliders to create a new color in the color box. And then once you like the color you have, you can press OK. The reason for these RGB sliders are because they're simple and they relate with numbers, which makes it feel like it relates more to math when you can see the numbers changing the color. And when you click on OK, it sets it in. And there's a second option of how to create colors. You can also press the eyedropper button, and then after that, you can click on any color on your screen, and then it automatically sets it as a custom color. Once you have a custom color, it's set in, but if you change it to something else and you want the custom color back, eyedropper is a really good way to get the custom color back, because there's no library to save the custom color you have. And then after you press the OK button, as you can see here, it chooses that button, and here's another explanation of how the eyedropper works. So that's pretty much it for what the color picker is. We've based the sliders off this link over here, and that's pretty much it for our company. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we please have the next generation innovator CEO? Please go ahead. All right, he may have been disconnected. Can we go to the Samurai CEO? Please go ahead.
Yes, this week we have been working on the furniture library. We have brainstormed all the ideas for the library. We have to just design the parts in Paint 3D and export it to Blender. And we have to create some descriptions and tags for it. We have also created a beginner solar library tutorial playlist on YouTube. And we have come up with a prototype for how the custom thumbnail option will work. So this is how your polyup.com page will be like. And when you click on your project, you have this settings icon. When you click on it, there's a new camera icon here. So when I click it, it shows this new page here. And then there is a tick button and a cross button. So if you don't want to select it, if you want to cancel it, you can click on that X button. Or else if you want it, you can click on the tick button. So let's say if I want this as the thumbnail, I can just adjust it. And when I'm happy with that, I can click on the tick mark. Now, if I go back, you can see the thumbnail has changed. And that's about it. That's what we have been working on.
Wonderful.
So I want to mention a couple of things. One is that Samurai's videos that you made for the end phase library is already have passed to the GM of Enphase, and is actually going to be presented to the CEO and also the marketing in Enphase. So that's fantastic. And the work you're doing on the some of the suggestion in the actual environment, that you should make sure that you go to the coach Muhammad and talk to him to see how that can get into the roadmap to go forward. Fantastic.
Wonderful. Next, we have Next Generation Innovators. CEO, please go ahead. I believe you're on mute. Do you want to go ahead and say which country you're from and introduce your progress from last week and your goal for next week?
You're on mute, Emin. Can you unmute?
He said he has a problem with the microphone. No worries, we'll come back to you, Min. Next, can we have the Innovation Sultans? I'm not sure if the CEO is here, but if a co-founder wants to speak on their behalf, please go ahead. You can raise your hand and I can help you become unmuted. All right, next we'll go to the PolyPros. PolyPros co-founder, please go ahead. All right, while everyone's getting connected, I believe our Poly Innovators CEO is online. Poly Innovator CEO. Wonderful, please go ahead.
Okay, just a moment, please. I will share my screen now. Okay, can you see?
Yes, we can see.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, as you know, this is our logo, and then this is, I improved that project, and I have some question. Okay, I want to ask this question: why we cannot change our building's color?
That's a very good question, and you should. In the older library elements, we didn't have that capability. Now we have. I suggest you reach out to Muhammad, the coach, on design, and suggest to be able to change it. It's a great idea.
Then this is Esra Muradli's machine, and we can show this. And just a moment, please. Oh, what's that? I have some problem with my internet. And so sorry, because last week I couldn't show this. This is projects for cosmetic, and I create any cosmo bracket and any cosmo object, and we can read this for this. And I have some news. We start to earn poly coins, and I want to create poly library about for animals and insects. We will create this library next week. That's enough. So
Fantastic. That's great. That's a great idea for the library, the ant and insects. That's great. So
Fantastic. Next, can we have the Creative Technology Team CEO, please go ahead.
thanks.
okay, Emin says that he solved the issue. Emin, do you want to go ahead, please?
Yeah, can you hear my voice?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. We have 3 hub products for this week. The first one we made a few parts for carbon removal project. The second one we made a machine for carbon removal project, and I made a prototype for comment form for PolyUp. Firstly, we can let me show my screen. Okay. I made this comment form prototype. You can tap this comment icon. You can see the comment form. You can like any comment. You can see there. You can read a comment. You can reply. You can see replies for a comment. I said we made the machine for in carbon removal project. Okay, you can see the our machine. We have an idea for carbon removal project. We can remove the carbon, but can recycle carbon. We can convert carbon. We can collect and convert the carbon to electricity or hydrogen fuel. We know the hydrogen fuel, the cleanest energy for our world. You can see two ideas in one machine. The first way, we can develop this idea for two ways. We can make many machines for every home that collect and convert to electricity. You can see there. We made a part for this machine. You can see there. This propellers collect and send to this machine. This machine convert to this carbon dioxide to electric energy. Let me show you the second part. The second part is called one big machine for collecting more carbon and send this electricity to every homes. We made batteries. This is behind. If you want to provide them home with electric energy, you can attach a machine, a battery to one wall, like FS library. We will make testing parts in PolyUp with Muhammad Kumbos. He will help us. That is it.
Thank you so much. Fantastic. Next, we have the CEO of Shindo. Please go ahead.
Sari isn't here this time.
No worries. Would you like to present on the team's behalf?
Okay, my name is Faris Attili. I'm from Palestine. This week, we tried to make a machine, the logo, in a machine in PolyUp. Let me share my screen 1 second. Here, can you see my screen?
Yes.
This is it. For next week, we're trying to do the library we are going to do as suggestions on it. Here. And that's it. We are trying to do our best to continue.
Very good. Thank you so much. Next, we have the CEO of Polybuilders. Please go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, hello, Gwen. So I'm going to share my screen. can you see the screen?
It's loading now.
Well, this week we worked on different projects. For example, reduce from using cars or different projects. Wait a minute, please. Okay, so different projects, but the most important project was a carbon removal project, which is called, this is our project. We're working on it, and for next week, we're going to improve it and add new libraries, create new libraries. That's it.
Fantastic. Congratulations on your progress. And next we have the CEO of STEM Velocity. Please go ahead. And maybe until he gets set up, we can have the Golden Ratio CEO please present.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, dear, go ahead.
Okay. This week we've been working on the train library, and we've created many different parts. Also this one. And this one. Oh, I have a bad connection. And also we've been thinking that we might start to create a new library, our own library, but we haven't decided yet what's the title or the name or what it's going to be. We're thinking also we can add some voices or music to PolyUp that we can add to our machines. And last but not least, we've created this machine, the carbon removal, and also it works in two ways. I already sent it on Discord, and that's it. That's basically it.
Fantastic. And as far as adding sound to PolyUp, it's a great idea. Many are interested in having voice over the machine,
Yes.
so students can explain their machines as it runs and maybe add in things like music and other sounds to make it more exciting. And the CEO of Innovation Sultans has started this project. So what you can do is work together and collaborate on that. And the two teams can pair up and work together, add in your different ideas, because two teams is even stronger than one. So that's fantastic.
That would be wonderful. I would love to work with them.
Great.
We would love to work with them.
Fantastic. Okay, great. And finally, we have the CEO of Imagistation. Please go ahead.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Tarana from Azerbaijan, and I'm representing the Imagistation team. Our team is new, and now we have 5 members. 2 of them are in Discord, so we can contact to each other. This week, we've created our logo. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we see that.
And I want to tell you about something about our team name. Imagistation is a combination of 2 words, imagination and station. And it means that our team is a place where there are a lot of creative ideas and fantasies are born. And also this week we created a machine about nature. Let me share it here. So this is about nature. So it says save nature. And also we want to create new part libraries. And I think next week we'll decide what it will be about, what library we'll create. And also we'll create our logo in PolyUp. and machines about carbon removal. That's all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tarana. And one more CEO is ready and wanted to go. We have the Creative Technology team. Please go ahead and share your screen, say where you're from.
So I'm Nikon from the US, from the Creative Technology team. So this week we made a library of alphabet in 3D thing. So we want to put like an alphabet in PolyUp. But I had a question that I wanted to ask. Like, I don't know how to send this file because like the files that I was sending wouldn't work. So like I don't know how to do this. Also like different colors that I don't know like what colors to do with that or whatever. So yeah, this is what we worked on this week.
So that's fantastic, and having the letters is actually a high demand. So this is very, very useful. So can you please reach out to Coach Mohammed and let him know, because there has been some early work. They combine the work you're doing with that and bring the library out. This is very good, and he will tell you what formats to use.
Okay. So yeah, we want to finish this. And then once we finish this, we're going to start working on some carbon removal projects.
Fantastic. Stephanie, are we done with the CEOs?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So thank you. That was amazing work in just 1 week that you worked on. So we want to switch now to the last part of the session. We are very much elated to have Chris Fabian is a world-renowned expert in areas of coin, use of it for social good. He has led the UNICEF Innovation Fund for many years, and now he's working on Giga Fund, which is one of the most influential initiatives to bring internet connectivity to every school around the world. Chris, we are elated to have you here and really appreciate you gave us our time. And I'd like to ask you to please go ahead and talk about coins for us. Thank you.
Cool. Can you hear me, Amir?
Yes. Go ahead.
Super. Sorry, I just came back from a run and I'm sorry. I was very happy to listen to all of those presentations. That was really, really cool. So thank you for letting me listen into those. I wanted to basically, I mean, I think I've just a few minutes to talk with all of you, but I wanted to just tell 2 stories about tokens and coins and then show one. Well, since everybody else showed us their screens, I wanted to show one screen of a project that we're working on, if that sounds good, Amir.
It's fantastic. Please go ahead.
So, you know, I think that the work that all of you are doing is so cool and so useful and pertinent. And there's a whole discussion now, as you know, in the world around digital tokens and digital coins and cryptocurrency. And anybody who's under 25 years old doesn't need to have that discussion, because you all know this stuff from everything you do all around you. You know how important the digital world is. It's really only old people that are questioning whether or not the digital world is something that people should care about, or whether you should care what your avatar looks like online or how people talk to you. But everybody who's young and who's grown up in it knows exactly how important that part of life is. And you also know how important currency is online. The type of units of currency that you might use to transact something, to buy a new item in a game, to sell something to somebody, to get paid in credit or reputation for work that you do. So those are all sort of things that come naturally to somebody who's already part of the digital world. And I was asked to talk about the crypto economy and tokens and things like that. And I guess I want to give you two messages. There's 2 things I'd like to say today in the next 6 minutes or so. One is that money is totally fake. So there's 2 things I'd like you to walk away from this from and go with them. One is the whole system of economics is entirely fake. And there are a whole lot of people who have PhDs in this fake system of economics, and even they don't know what they're doing, especially they don't, but really it's a fake concept. And the second thing is that I'll talk about is that anything can be a token. And I'll talk about what that means a little bit. But maybe I'll just start with the first one, that money is fake. All money is just a system of belief, if you think about it, right? Because it really doesn't have anything to do with what it means to be human. What it means to be human is you need to eat, you need a safe place to sleep, you need to be with your family, you need to be able to grow, all of those things. None of that, being a human, is about having money, right? It doesn't, nobody says, well, you need to also have money. No, you just need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to be able to build things and build things for your family and with your friends. The idea of money is just a second layer on all of that that allows you to transact with other people who also believe in that same moment, in that same type of money. So if you ask what $1 is actually worth, what is €1 actually worth by itself if it's sitting on the table? Not very much. It's only worth as much as you can do with it, as much as the other person believes they can do with it. And so these concepts of economics and finance are pretty incredible, but they're also fairly new in human history. And so one of the things that's quite exciting when I look at the digital world is that people have sort of skipped the old world of money and of finance, of using dollars for things, and have started talking about stuff like in-game credits. So you can either trade a sword for a pair of boots or a car for a house in a game, or you can go through a credit system and say this house is worth this much credits, I'll sell it for that, and I'll use those credits to buy the boots that I want, whatever, lots of boots, I guess. You can pay for upgrades to your avatar, you can build new things with those credits. But again, it's all a belief that if you get rid of one item, the boots, and you get those credits, that you can eventually use those credits for something else. So in the digital world, we understand that the money of the old world, the dollars, the euros, the pounds, are just a way of representing value. They're just a way of representing belief that you can move value from one person to another. And all of you are talking about carbon, about climate change, and about the environment. And it's very important in this space, in the world of the environment, to think about what that value is. You may have heard about carbon credits, which are another fake thing that was created 15 years ago to try to assign a value to all of the people polluting the world, a negative value, to say that the more carbon you put into the atmosphere, we're going to tax you, we're going to take some negative value away from you. But if you're a farmer or somebody with trees who captures that carbon, we're going to give you some value. And it's a fake system. It's only necessary because there's some bad people in the world doing really horrible things with the environment. But it starts to try to balance out people who are doing bad and people who are doing good. The second thing, so money's fake. Systems of belief are essentially agreement between two people that something may have value. The second thing is that anything can be a token, anything can represent this value. And I just wanted to tell two stories of our work. Well, one is a personal story and then others of our work recently. But about 50 years ago, my mother's family was a family of refugees. They lived in a refugee camp. They didn't have anything. They had, I think, one blanket and a few little pots and small things. Nothing, they didn't have an identity card or a passport or anything like that. They wanted to come to the US. And in order for them to do that, they needed to have some sort of identity. And if you're a refugee, if you're in a camp, you don't have very much to base your identity on, to prove that you're real. And over several years, my grandfather would work small jobs. He was a gardener in this camp. He worked as a little police officer for that area. He would fix the electricity and so on. And each time he did that, he would get a piece of paper. And I found these papers a while ago that says he'd completed this job, 1 job, 2 job, 3 job. And it said the number of days he'd worked, 5 days as a gardener, 10 days as an electrician, and so on. And after 2 years, he had this stack of paper like this. And they were able to go to the Americans and say, we've basically built up an identity. You can see over the last 2 years, we've done these jobs. We are good members of society. We've helped, and we deserve to be let into this system, and it eventually becomes a green card system and all of that. But without those pieces of paper, there was no record of any of that work. And those pieces of paper are a token. Each one of those is a token. Each one of those records is a token of some work that's done. The Polycoin is a token as well. It's a record of something that's happened, something that's done. And you can start to think that a token by itself is not worth anything. Money is not worth anything. But if you start to pack them together in the right way, you can actually create something quite valuable out of them. You can create an identity, for example. You can create a sense of where carbon is being used in a bad way, and all of these other things. And the second story I just wanted to tell very quickly is about a recent project we did in Ireland. We worked with 5 refugee families who had moved from Iraq to Ireland. And we were trying to figure out how to get them to be in the digital space, in the digital world, and particularly to be on Airbnb, to be able to sell their services as a tour guide, as a chef, as somebody who could take care of kids, all of those types of things. But the problem is Airbnb would not let you have a listing if you didn't have an identity, just like my grandfather. So we said to one of these, we said to the Airbnb folks, what if we can get some of these very smart refugees to start doing little work, and we'll give them a token, just like that sheet of paper. They do 3 jobs, and after 3 jobs, maybe you can put them on Airbnb. You can trust them. Airbnb said, okay. And so one of the women was an art historian from Baghdad. She started doing tours of the museum in Dublin. And she did one tour, and then she did another tour. And each time she would get a small printout of, you know, the number of people that she'd taken on the tour. And all those people had Airbnb accounts. So they were vouching for her. They were saying that she had done this thing. And there was no government that was saying it. There was no central authority. It was one group of tourists, a second, a third, a fourth. And after a certain number of these visits, this woman, Hala, had enough of these reputation points to be able to get an Airbnb listing. And now if you go to Ireland, you can actually take a tour with her. She's getting her second master's degree at Trinity, I think. And you can actually go on a tour with her because she has this listing, this authenticity that she didn't have because the centralized systems didn't allow it before. And so I just thought those were sort of, when I think of tokens and of how digital economies work, the reason that they're very powerful for me is that they can give individuals access to the world that they don't maybe have if the central systems, if governments keep failing them. And so if it's okay, I just wanted to show one last thing, since everybody else showed their screens, of a project that we're working on along these same lines. This is, can you see the screen, Amir?
Yes. Go ahead.
So this is obviously a map of the world. Let's take a look at a country, maybe Brazil. This is a product that we build. This is called Giga. This initiative is, as Amir said, this is to map every school in the world and to find out how much connectivity it has. So if you look at a country like Brazil, each of these dots are schools. So these are about 60,000 schools in Brazil, 90,000, 100, well, okay. We added more since I looked at this last time, 130,000 schools. Anybody can go to this website. I'll put the link in the chat after, but each one of these is a school. Schools in green have good internet connectivity. Schools in red have no connectivity at all. And you can click on a school and you can see how much connectivity it has. You can see the name of the school. And what you see is obviously in poor areas, schools have less connectivity, no connectivity. And in wealthy areas, connectivity is good. I just want to think a little bit about this climate change work that you're doing and about the digital economy and all the work that we just saw of the various utilities you're building, the various pieces of digital work you're building. Each one of these schools is an object in the digital space. You can imagine starting to connect that school. You need a mobile phone tower, you need electricity, all of the types of attributes we just saw in some of your presentations. And I think of these schools as tokens also, as part of a whole, because the world is not going to be one world, one human species, if we're divided in all of these ways that you see all around us right now. One of them is poverty. And if we don't have all of these communities being connected and everybody being able to access things like the digital world, the digital economy, we know that that leads to a really bad future for all of us. So when we think about tokens, we also think about people who aren't connected now and about what you can do when you start to make connectivity and other things like environmental goods flow well in this disconnected world. So really excited to see your progress. I think it's delightful that Anusha will be working with you all and that you're part of this this great competition with X Prize. It's a really fun group to be part of. But even as they are just now, the projects that I saw, it's really inspiring and terrific. And so happy to have just a little chat for the few minutes we have left. Sorry for talking so long, Amir.
That was fantastic. Really appreciate it. Great points and things to think about. So let's move on to the Q&A. I have a couple of questions they send me by text, but first let me see if anybody wants to ask questions. Go ahead. Please raise your hand such that Stephanie can let you to talk. So while you're raising your hand, let me go over first of the two questions came. How does one of these coins relate to another coin?
Yeah, I mean, just like if you think about regular currency, and if you have country A and country B right next to each other, they have two different currencies, you need to figure out how you exchange them. How do you get currency A over to currency B? And usually you need a third party, you need somebody else involved. And it's the same with digital coins. You can have one country which has a lot of currency A, and you have to figure out how many, is it 100 units that are equivalent to one currency B, 1,000 units, and then you need an exchange. You need some point in the middle that can make that exchange that holds a little bit of both of those two currencies. So then when Amir comes to Chris and says, do you want to buy my currency A? Chris says, well, I've got a little bit of that, reserve currency. I can buy some of your currency A, give you some currency B, and then I have more of that in my store. And I, as the exchange, then I'm hoping somebody's going to come and buy that other currency. So when you think about the way that you transfer regular currencies, it's the same thing with digital currencies. You have to find somebody who's holding both of them or who wants the one that you have. And I just would come back to this idea of belief. If you want somebody to take your currency, they have to believe that it's worth something. If they don't, nobody's going to buy it. And so you see right now with things like all of the dog coins that you hear about, from Doge to Shiba coin, all of that stuff, you hear people talking about them and giving belief to this idea that's supposed to be a joke. It's supposed to be something funny. I mean, that's what Doge was supposed to be, a funny joke that everybody would laugh at. But because enough people believe that it's funny, it starts to get value. And that's something that like an older generation never expected.
Fantastic, thank you. Awa, go ahead with your question.
So
Please.
I'm just wondering if there's people who have like jobs translating currencies, like designated people who work on this for a living, or do you have to like figure out a way to make it valuable yourself?
Super good question. Both of them are true. So there are both a bunch of people who are mostly mathematics type people who are translating, kind of creating the models that says $1 is worth €2 is worth £3 right? And then they put that model out there and people buy it. So that's one. There is a whole group of foreign exchange type people. In the digital world, they are running cryptocurrency exchanges and they set these models that have equivalences. So there's absolutely a whole career of that. I would not say that's a great career to get into. It's not super exciting, but okay. I mean, some people make a lot of money on it. There's also a group of people who want to just exchange directly. So if I want to get some of Amir's currency and I have my own, if we're friends, if I trust him, we can make a way to exchange them. And it works fine if we know each other. I come to his house, give him some of my currency, he gives me some of his. But if we don't know each other, that falls apart, which is why you need sometimes to have that marketplace, that middle person, like the first example. So if you trust the person, people do it just person to person. If you don't trust them, you need that central market where you can exchange and nobody's going to rip you off.
Fantastic, thank you. Faris, can you go ahead, please?
Are you planning to include Palestine in your project of connecting schools, especially Gaza?
It's a good question, and I think we're all watching with horror and seeing the events of the last week. We're starting, we now have the agreement from the Palestinian Ministry of Education, as well as from all of the UNRWA schools to start mapping them and mapping their connectivity online. We got this about 2 months ago. The first step of that project, the connectivity project, is just to see where schools are and how connected they are. The second part is then to try to figure out how to make the connection actually happen. So Faris, we're starting first with the mapping, and I hope that we can start to work on the connecting part of it as well. It's very important to me personally, but also to our team. But I don't know, with all of the horrible things that are happening right now, it's hard to say exactly when that second part starts, but certainly the first part where we're using data science to understand at least schools and where they are is something that we're doing right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Amir. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, please.
Hi, this is Aisha here from Ireland, actually.
Hi, Aisha.
I don't fully understand the concept. You were saying that you might want to change some currency with Amir. And like, what's the overarching benefit of online coins or cryptocurrency?
So imagine that there are two games that Amir and I are living in two different game worlds. And I live in a world with a game with cars, all my Formula 1 game, and Amir lives in a world of dragons and magic. So he lives in a fantasy dragon game. And in my car game, I've got a bunch of car currency because I've driven a lot of cars for the last year in this car game. And Amir's been killing a lot of dragons, so he's got a lot of dragon currency. We're talking one day, we're saying, hey, this is great, I've got this car game. He says, I've killed all these dragons. And I say, well, Amir, I'd like to go into that dragon game. And he says, well, you need a sword. And I say, well, how do I get a sword? He says, you have to buy one with some dragon currency. And I say, but Amir, I've only got car currency. He says, well, you need at least 100 dragon coins to buy a sword, and you really can't play the game if you don't have that sword. And I say, well, I'm really out of luck. Amir, what do I do? He says, well, I don't know. But I said, but Amir, I've got all this car currency. You can go and drive, you can take some of my car currency, you can drive a car around, a nice Ferrari in the car game. But I'd really like that sword. So he says, well, listen, there's not many people playing the car game, but there's a lot of people playing the dragon game. So why don't you give me 1,000 of those car coins? I can drive the car for 1,000 hours, and I'll give you 100 of these dragon coins. And I'm like, huh, okay, Amir, that sounds good. I know you, so I'll walk over to your house. I'll sit down with my computer next to yours, my phone next to yours. I'll transfer car coins to you. You can play the car game. I'll get the dragon coins. I play the dragon game. So that works fine between us because we know each other. But if we don't know each other and we're kind of missing that link, I wouldn't want to send my 1,000 car coins to some random person that I haven't met. So I might say, Aisha, you've got both of these two currencies. We both know you. We trust you, and you offer to be the trusted middle person. So I say, listen, Amir, send Aisha your dragon coins, and I'll send her the car coins. She can take one of each of them, keep a little bit of this, for the transaction, and send us the other one's currency. And you say, well, that's fine. I'm going to make some money because I'm making some money off of both of these guys because they don't trust each other. And we say we're both happy because we managed to I got into the dragon game, he got into the car game. Does that make sense?
In a virtual, no, I understand that in a virtual world, but is the ultimate aim to get rid of the old fake money system you said was in place and transfer virtual coins into the real world, or is this in a virtual, so everything is virtually transacted, etc.?
I guess it depends how much people want to be in the dragon game or how much they want to be in the real world. And I think it's a very good question. So what you find now is that over the last year during COVID, when people were at home, all the time, the amount of virtual gaming went up something like 300% globally. So suddenly you had a lot of people in the real world, the fake world, the old world, whatever you want to call it, with dollars, euros, pounds, etc., who were trying to get onto the digital world and do things. And so you saw all this cash flow from dollars into dragon coins. So something's changing. And I think we're just at the very beginning of it. We don't know where it's going to be in 5 years, but all of a sudden you see money transfer happening to this digital world. And so that means it's, something shifting about the dynamic. Suddenly these digital artifacts are worth real world money. And that's a very, very new thing. That wasn't true 15 years ago.
But it's based on the old fake model of money.
Maybe just to get in, but once you're in there, and once you're in that digital world, you can still, then you're free of it. So a lot of times what you'll see, especially in the cryptocurrency space, is that people started with dollars. They got onto the digital world. They bought some Bitcoin or some other crypto with dollars, and they haven't touched dollars since then. They've just been in that digital world. And so it's a very new paradigm of sort of thinking of where the value sits. And it's not with central banks as much anymore, or with these old institutions.
Thank you very, very much for that. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you.
Thank you. So Lala, can you go? This is the last question. We are over time, but there's so much excitement, and we want to ask you one more. Sorry about that, Chris. Lala, can you go?
According to what features do you add counters to your project?
So all of you are startup teams. We are also a startup team. And as you know, I'd say the same question to you, how do you add features to your projects when when you talk to your friends or your siblings, they're like, I want this thing in PolyUp. How do you decide? We have the same issue. So we have a lot of requests for new countries. We try to balance out what we need to deliver, so what we need to show in the countries we're working in, and then the excitement of other people. We have about 19 countries that are working with us now on this mapping of school connectivity. And we have another 30 countries that are coming on board. And basically what we do, Lala, is we say to the government and to the, especially education people, if you can give us the maps of your schools, that's the beginning. And then we talk to the network operators, the phone operators, and so on. We say, give us the connectivity maps. That's the second piece. And once you get those, the process starts rolling. And that's when you can start to do like what we're doing in Palestine, where you start to have a picture of the world in that country. So 19 now, 35 soon over the next few months. If you're interested in the project, I'll put this is the link to the actual big project, gigaconnect.org. And then I also put the link to the map up. I hope that answers your question. We're also, a lot of us are on, I know Twitter's kind of for old people, but we're on Twitter and we're on Instagram as well with that project. So if you're interested, you can follow us there and hear more about it.
Fantastic. Chris, I have a last question. Thank you, Lala. That is coming now every time that we have amazing talks like yours is the kids are asking, is it possible to have access to you as an advisor if they have questions here and there, to send, like, on a monthly basis, send you a few questions and you help their startups? Is that okay?
Yes, well, I'll say with a caveat. So I loved listening to all of these things. I am also in a startup mode. And as all of you know, that means that I sometimes get things that happen that I can't control, just like with you. Amir, I'll try to be very available for a little bit of time. I guess everybody who's a startup CEO knows exactly how crazy it can get. But certainly I would try to be helpful. And especially if you just hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. If it's short, if it's fast, if I can answer a question quickly, that's a much better way to get through to me than like, I just don't have a lot of longer chunks of time, but I will certainly try to be available. And on those two platforms, I'm very available, and I'm putting my handles on here now.
Fantastic. Really appreciate it. There are more questions, but the time is past, and appreciate your time. We know you're very busy. It was amazing presentation. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And
cool projects, really cool projects. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And thanks, everybody. We're going to conclude today's discussion. If you want to continue, if you have questions, please come back to Discord. Let's continue the conversation there. We go to the voice channel of Discord right now. Any of you want to continue to have any questions, comments, please come there. Thanks a lot. We conclude the main part and we move to Discord voice channel under